Have you ever really thought about the magic of a movie? I mean, it's this incredible art form where the most important trick, the thing that makes it all work, is designed to be totally invisible. We get swept up in the story, right? But the actual glue holding it all together is the cut. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret life of film editing.
And that brings us to this central puzzle. Seriously, think about it. A movie is just thousands of separate little pieces of film, all shot at different times in different places, totally out of order. It's broken. And yet, when we sit down to watch it, we experience this smooth, continuous reality. How? How is it that this super abrupt, sometimes violent jump from one image to another feels completely natural to us?
Well, to crack this code, we're going to need a guide, and we've got the best one, Walter Murch. This guy is a legend. He's the editor and sound designer behind absolute masterpieces like Apocalypse Now and The Godfather. And his little book, In the Blink of an Eye, is basically the key to unlocking the whole philosophy behind what a film cut really is.
Okay, so before we can really get why a cut works on our brains, we first have to understand how a great editor even decides where to put one. And let me tell you, Murch has this very specific and honestly kind of surprising set of rules for what matters most.
So what's the most important thing? Murch says right off the bat that editing isn't just a technical job. No way. The number one question an editor has to ask themselves is, how do I want the audience to feel right now? Before they even think about matching a character's position or if a prop is in the right place, it's all about the emotional ride for us, the viewers.
And he actually breaks this down with his rule of 6. And just look at this chart. Emotion isn't just at the top. At 51%, it's worth more than everything else combined. That is wild. Way down the list, you've got story, then rhythm, and then at the very bottom, you get the technical stuff, like eye trace, which is about where your eye is looking, and then preserving the 2D and 3D space, basic continuity. For Murch, a cut that feels right is always better than one that's technically perfect.
And this is what he means by that. If an editor finds a cut that hits the perfect emotional beat, and it pushes the story forward, and the rhythm feels right, but, oh no, a character's hand is suddenly in a different position, Murch says you make that cut. Every single time. Because a powerful emotional moment will make the audience completely forgive, or more likely not even notice, that tiny little mistake.
So, okay, emotion is the North Star for an editor. Got it. But we're still left with that big question. Why do we even accept the cut in the first place? In real life, our vision is this constant, unbroken stream. So why doesn't a hard cut in a movie just feel wrong? Well, Murch's answer is absolutely brilliant, and it gets to the very core of how our minds work. We've been watching movies with cuts for over 100 years, and you might think the reason it all works is because of the camera, or the film, or digital editing software. But it's none of that. The real reason is so much older and so much more human.
Yep, you heard that right. The answer is, quite literally, in the blink of an eye. Murch discovered this incredible, deep connection between the jump cut in a film and that simple, unconscious thing we do thousands of times a day.
Now here's the crucial idea. We don't just blink at random to keep our eyes wet. Murch figured out that our blinking is tied directly to what's happening inside our heads. A blink is our brain's way of hitting the pause button on our vision for a split second, to help us separate one thought from another. It's like the period at the end of a sentence in our mind.
The director John Huston actually gave Murch this idea, and it's so simple and powerful. Think about it for a second. Look at something across the room. Now look back at the screen. Chances are you blinked. Your mind didn't do a smooth pan across the room. It cut. It saw the lamp, cut, and then it saw the screen. We are making mental cuts all day long.
So if our blinks are tied to our thoughts, then suddenly an editor has this incredibly powerful tool. They can actually use this biological fact to shape how we experience a story. Let's dig into that. Our blink rate is basically a tell, like in poker. It's a window into our brain. Murch noticed that when you're explaining something to someone and they finally get it, they'll often blink right at that moment of understanding. If someone is staring someone else down, just holding one intense thought, their blinking slows way down or stops. And if they're confused, the blink rate speeds up. Each blink is a little signal that one mental beat is over. And here it is. This is the magic trick. The film cut works because it's a blink that the editor makes for us. It's an external mechanical blink that perfectly mimics the internal mental blink we were about to make anyway. A cut feels right. It feels invisible when it lands at the exact moment our brain was ready to end one thought and start the next.
So you see, the editor's job is this incredible psychological dance. First, they have to literally anticipate what we, the audience, are thinking and feeling from moment to moment. Then, they use the pacing of the shots to control the rhythm of our thoughts. And finally, they land the cut right on that blink point, that moment of mental punctuation, to lead us seamlessly into the next idea.
You know, Murch also has this other brilliant way of thinking about the craft. He compares two editing philosophies. Working on an old moviola machine was like working with clay. You're building a scene from scratch, piece by piece. But working on a newer flatbed editor, like a cam, was more like sculpting marble. You start with this huge block of footage, and your job is to chip away all the unnecessary parts to reveal the perfect film that was hiding inside all along.
Once you understand this blink theory, it's not just some fun film trivia. It fundamentally changes how you watch movies. It gives you this secret language to understand the invisible pulse that drives every single scene. So the next time you're watching a film, just remember this: the editor isn't just a technician gluing clips together. They're part psychologist, part magician, part conductor. They are literally guiding your thought process, deciding the exact moment you've understood something and the exact moment it's time to move on.
This quote from Murch just says it all, doesn't it? The reason a great film feels so effortless is because a great editor is anticipating our mental needs. They're giving us the next piece of the puzzle precisely when our mind is asking for it. It's this beautiful, seamless dance between the filmmaker and our own subconscious.
So I'll leave you with a little challenge. The next time you're totally lost in a movie, try to pay attention to your own mind. When do you feel like a moment is truly complete? When do you really get what a character is feeling? You might just find that in that exact instant, the scene cuts. You might just see the blink coming.